And Top Story is always brought to you by Vodafone. We have been mistreated and sidelined on our own land. Words of the king of the Ga State, King Tackie Teiko Tsuru II, as he says his people are sad about the situation and will decide the 2024 general election. Speaking during a visit by the NPP flag bearer hopeful Alan Chamanting, the king asked the former Trade and Industry Minister not to take the Ga-Dangme people for granted.
We will decide this election in 2024 because Accra is a pivot of the election. Accra is Ghana and Ghana is Accra. Don't take us for granted. Build a social contract with the Ga-Dangme people and you will see the light. Retreating a number of people you have mentioned, decent, Kwaje, and all. It's with great men who stood and fought for this party. If you win your bid, which we pray you do, don't forget toil of these great leaders whose will, thought and process made this party what it is today. Ga-Dangme is sad. Sad because of a lot of things that are being done against us. That is why I'm speaking in English today. Because I want you to hear. We are sad. We are sad about the way we are being treated in the capital. People just get up, go to a place like Agbogbosi and start building. Why? Without any recourse to the traditional authority. What we want to tell you today is that I believe that in your manifesto, promote a national development agenda for the whole of the country so that we will see that would not be shortchanged. And we pray that if your bid is successful, you think about our lands too. A release of it will make them Ga-Dangme very, very happy and in support of your claim.
Well, the former Trade and Industry Minister has been making some promises on the back of what you just heard there from the Ga-Manche. He claims he will transform Accra if he wins the nod.
In our party, our symbol is the elephant, and we know that the symbol of the Ga State is the elephant. All Gas naturally belong to the NPP because there's a spiritual connectivity between our symbols, and we call Senior Obichibi Lamte, Jalajete, Echo Lamte, Junior Obichibi Lamte, Chairman, was chairman of the party, and then many others, those sides, much younger ones, you go to Ajib Lansing and many others. And I think that the role that our community has played in bringing us to power must be appreciated by our own party. And so if it is God's will that I lead this party and I become president, I'll make sure that Ga's feature very prominently in the government that I run. And I'll do so also for very strategic reasons. Because Greater Accra is the capital of our country. And it is the entry point into our country. And first impressions are important. And so it is our own interest as a government to lift up the Ga State. Secondly, the two most important challenges that confront us as a nation currently are maintaining a strong, resilient economy, and then secondly, creating job opportunities, particularly for our youth. Now, these two challenges cannot be dealt with significantly without transforming our country. Since independence, we've been to the IMF, I think 17 or 18 times. We are currently working towards receiving a package from the IMF. We have to reverse this trend, and the only way we can reverse this trend is to have a transformational leader who can move the country beyond growth to transformation. And in all humility, in all modesty, I believe that I offer that opportunity to move this country on to transformation.
Well, let's speak now to former Attorney General Ni Ayukwe Otu, who was part of the delegation that visited the Ga-Manche today. He himself Ga, but also part of the Alanchamanti entourage. He joins us on the telephone line right now. Ni Ayukwe Otu, thank you for your time here on Top Story. Hello, sir. Okay, we'll try and get his attention and ask him a few questions. He's a leading figure within the Ga-Dangme community. He's a former Attorney General. He was part of the Alanchamanting visit to the Ga-Manche. Rarely will you hear such a significant traditional ruler speak the way the Ga-Manche spoke today, and I'm curious to learn from a man who himself is it's a staunch individual within the community what he made of this. Ms. Aiko, thank you for your time here on Top Story.
Thanks for having me.
You were there when the Ga-Manche uttered those words, visibly upset about what he believes to be mistreatment and sidelining of the Ga people in the Greater Accra region. You yourself, you're a stalwart within the Ga-Dangme community. Do you share his sentiments?
Well, remember that I am now the president of the Ga-Dangme Council, and so I am quite close to some of the issues confronting the Ga-Dangmes. And I think just last week or so, we issued a statement about this construction of the Kaya bishops. It was one of the issues that he referred to. So we are on the same page.
So when he says Gas are being mistreated and sidelined, what is he referring to there?
Well, how can you know? I mean, you have a cabinet which features one, woman, a Ga, Elia Yokobuchi, and one deputy minister, Evans Mensah. And that's it. So I think the evidence is there.
So primarily, it's a comment about Ga's representation at the political decision-making table.
Not only that, you remember he spoke about the land issues. Many of our lands have been vested, while other areas we are getting their lands being divested, ours remain vested. There has been quite a number of compulsorily acquired lands of Ga-Dangmes. Most of the time, they don't use it for the purpose for which it is acquired, and then it ends up in the hands of individuals. Meanwhile, compulsory acquisition means the land is required in the public interest and to be used for a public purpose. But that is not what we find, even at the Abubuchi. Is that what we found? You would recall that there was this Nanumba and Kokomba conflict as a result of many people rush to come down to Accra. They had nowhere. The Ga-Manche was approached. He asked them to go and live at Abubuchi. Then it became a slum area. Our searches, however, showed that he had previously been acquired for development into a recreational area. But then if they no longer want to put it to that use, you'll find that they started talking about Kaya hostel. But when we got there, we were shocked that there was a huge war coming up for Agenda 111 hospital. Our predecessors showed that they intend to build a hospital there for Ablikuma South. I mean, what is the distance between that place and Kolibu, which is a tertiary hospital serving in West Africa? Many people come to Kolibu, and today we have this vast land. When our people are shouting, they are suffering. And Accra, you've been, I don't know whether you have any roots in Accra. I know you speak that frequently and fluently. And you go to Toko, and you go to Bukom, and you go to Jamestown, and the people are just struggling,
for space. So if we have space, what is wrong with trying to resettle some of our people there? We are always at the brunt of everything. When old Fadama was moved to new Fadama, it was a land which was given to them. When this Sodom and Gomorrah thing happened and the people were to be resettled, where did they take them? It was not to Azande region or the Eastern region. They took them again to Ajen Kotoku, which is another land. They are settling there now.
Yeah, I mean, but
what is that?
You're not suggesting, are you, that because you are of a Ga-Dangme origin, the state should treat you differently? That will be tantamount to discrimination on the basis of a person's ethnicity, which the Constitution clearly forbids.
And that cannot be the case. Is it not the Constitution which provides that we should have a fair development and we should always take regional representation into account in whatever we do? Is it not the Constitution?
Example you cited of the Agbogbo.
No, I'm asking you, is it not in the Constitution?
It is in the
Constitution. That as we do things, we should look at regional balance.
I'll come to representation.
So is it me who's saying so? Or our Constitution, the fundamental law of the land which is saying so?
But you just suggested that in the case of Agbogbo and the people, Gans are always on the receiving end of a raw deal because they are not being given, almost suggesting preferential treatment in these allocations. That
you misunderstood me completely. I spoke about compulsory acquisition of land, but it is all lands which are always compulsorily acquired, isn't it? Using the whole of the university, the airport, the whatever, all the places that you have, I think all the lands that have been taken over. And when they are taken, we are here, when we are discussing this issue of Achimota forest or whatever, what happened to it? Even the dams, is this Akumono, it's been dammed for individuals to take it up. Don't you have any feeling for that? Look at our numbers. How large are we? You don't think about all this? And when we complain, we say we are talking about discrimination. How many lands have been taken in your areas? Compulsorily acquired and for what purpose?
Your first concern was the underrepresentation of Gans in Akufo-Addo's cabinet. You said there are only two of them, people of Ga-Dangme origin in the cabinet. Isn't that an indictment of this government, of which you were part of?
You asked me whether I share the concerns of the king, and I said yes, I do.
Yeah, and
going forward, I also cited example that is not taken out of context, and then I justified it to the Constitution. But the Constitution is there for all of us. Talk about regional balance. What have we said which is wrong?
Yeah, no, I'm just questioning. I mean, considering.
What are you questioning? The thing is a constitutional provision. It says do this.
Yes,
what are we supposed to be questioning?
It is a factual statement. However, I am making a point about, because it's coming from you and you side with the concerns expressed by the Gamanche. You yourself, until very recently, was a member of the government that you say is underrepresenting Gans in its cabinet. I'm pointing out to you that you concede that is an indictment of that government you were part of.
I am saying that, is it not what the Constitution provides? So if the Constitution provides for something and then one talks about it, should that be a big issue?
Well,
why should it be an issue that if we take all that into consideration, maybe next time when we are doing things, we may do them right? Because you are asking me,
have you raised this?
What promises did Alan make? And Alan also said that I'll make sure that I get some of you in my cabinet. I will let your people play a role.
Have you raised
I
this?
think we need to stretch this matter.
No,
there's really nothing
but we
to
need
talk about. We all know the facts.
Have you raised this with the president? And I know he is your friend, you were part of the government. Have you raised it with your government and officials with power to change the representation that you talked about?
Why to waste time on this? Like, government has said something, you asked me whether I agree. I said yes, I do agree with him. I've also cited an example that is not talking out of context, but it could be placed within context. Allah also said something. We context that I will make sure that you people also, looked after things like that. The history. This shouldn't be. Let's talk about other issues also. I mean, we shouldn't waste too much time on this before we say, Jack, it will be all that and go and put it up.
I believe you raised it because you believe it can be fixed. You say it's a constitutional imperative. My question to you is, have you raised it with the appropriate authorities, especially the one that has to do with representation of guns in cabinet?
Look, do I have to come and sit here and talk about all these things? At the end of every election, don't you think about what to do? You have all those experiences. So, I mean, don't let's come and talk about these things in public. We've done our part, we've done what we can. But I'm saying that the government did not say anything out of context. That is the point I'm making. And if anything at all, it is still in constitution. Let us look at regional balance. That is all. You are sitting here. How many Ga-Dangme radio stations do we have?
You have FM.
Please, let me learn. When we are told there are no frequencies, but quite often we get new radio stations coming up, television stations coming out all the time.
But you must have the resources to establish a radio station. If we can apply for one if you have the resources too.
And I'm telling you that these are things we have done for no reason. When we are told that it is not available, and yet new ones are always being open.
You mean people of Ga-Dangme origins are applying to the NCA for licenses to open radios and they are not being granted?
That is what I've told you, that we are not able to acquire any frequencies, and every time, every day, we find new frequencies, new radio stations. When did Want to Be radio when did Want to Be TV come on board?
I mean, I'm not sure you're being fair to Want to Be. I know he is your party member and you possibly have had this conversation with him internally, but he applied, he got. I mean, I haven't seen the evidence that suggests that people of Ga-Dangme origin have applied to the NCA or are seeking to open, gas stations, and they've been denied.
Ga-Dangme radio stations, do you know of? There was a community one. There is the Latin, which is part of GBC. GBC old stations. I was there as radio lawyer for about 4 years, so I have a lot of experience about how that thing came about. And so it was some abandoned GBC2 radios frequencies that were used for that. Then we had to attend. What other station do you think? We are always talking about it. We have our problems that we talk about. Maybe you haven't had time to interview Home Affairs or giving us sufficient time to talk about it. But everything where the language is going now and the problems we are having. When we complain that the teachers, those who have gone to school, they passed out, graduate Ga-Dangme teachers are sent outside the region when they cannot teach that language there. Are you saying you haven't heard about it before?
Teiko Tsuru, thank you very much. He's the chair of the Ga-Dangme Council. He was a former Attorney General under the Kufuor administration. He served as the Ghana ambassador to Canada under this current administration as well. You heard him say he shares the views of the Ga-Manche that the Akufo-Addo government is underrepresenting people of the Ga-Dangme ethnicity in its cabinet, and also on the end of raw deals when it comes to forceful land acquisitions. I don't know what you make of that. Share your thoughts with me, 05511119997. And let's stay with the NPP for a while longer, because this whole conversation erupted when one of the flag bearer hopefuls, Alan Chamanting, visited the Ga-Manche. Today, another of the hopefuls have also been delivering a major speech laying out what he says is his vision to transform Ghana's economy. He was part of the Akufo-Addo cabinet that took the decision to go back to the IMF for a bailout. But tonight, former Greek minister Dr. Owusu Akoto says it is time for things to be done differently to prevent the country from going back to the fund. He's been speaking today as part of laying forth his plan to transform the economy.
Ghana has fallen into an almost perpetual cycle of dependency on external financial support from the International Monetary Fund and other bilateral partners to sustain our economy. In 66 years of our independence, Ghana has approached the IMF on 17 different occasions to borrow. The lesson from our journey with the IMF and the bilateral donors is indicative of the urgent need to expand the export earning capacity of the economy of Ghana. In the short to medium term, only the agricultural sector can establish that capacity to achieve sustained rapid economic growth. I strongly believe that prioritizing agriculture is a sure way for achieving the accelerated growth needed in other sectors of the economy and creating the much needed jobs for our people, especially the youth. During my tenure as the Minister for Food and Agriculture, I initiated the establishment of the Tree Crop Development Authority under an Act of Parliament, Act 1010, in the year 2019. By the following year, 2020, the Tree Crop Development Authority had been established in Kumasi. The authority seeks to coordinate and promote development of 6 tree crops. The goal of the authority is to develop, produce and distribute the selected cash crop seedlings to farmers so as to produce and generate a combined potential export earnings of between 6 to 12 billion cedis every year after 8 to 10 years of its implementation. $6 to $12 billion a year. If this organization is taken care of very well, we'll be able to generate that kind of resource into our economy. We wouldn't need an IMF or anybody else.
He says Ghana will not have to rely on borrowing to fund its development under his leadership.
What I have learned working with Ghanaian farmers in the past 6 years especially is that they need little persuasion to be called into action. The minimal incentive of the PAG subsidy and others was enough to generate unprecedented growth in the agricultural sector, 8.4% in 2021. Never happened in the Fourth Republic. Such hard work of the Ghanaian farmer represents a resource that the nation ought to tap into to get us out of the clutches of borrowing to finance our development.
Well, he was speaking today at the UPSA campus. He says he will set up what he calls an agricultural management team to replicate the economic management team chaired by the vice president.
There is the urgent need for things to be done differently if we are to succeed in transforming our agriculture. The critical success factors in our transformation agenda will hinge on the following: political will. Ghana has to prioritize agricultural transformation at the highest level of government through the implementation of a well-defined vision and strategy. The investment needed to achieve sustainable food systems will be non-negotiable in my vision to transform agriculture for the prosperity of the first Prime Minister of India, Jawaharlal Nehru, once said, and I quote him, "Everything can wait, but not agriculture," unquote. Everything can wait, but not agriculture, unquote. Governance structure. In addition to the economic management team headed by the Vice President, there shall be a newly created agricultural management team chaired by the President himself to drive agricultural development. The AMT shall comprise 7 agri-related ministries, namely Food and Agriculture, Finance, Trade and Industry, Lands and Natural Resources, Transport, Local Government and Rural Development, and Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation.
Today it was about laying what he believes to be his record before us for us to interrogate. He talks a lot about what he has achieved and why he believes that stands him in good stead to lead this country going forward and transforming the entire economy on the back of his what he believes to be his successes in the agri sector. So let's do exactly that. Let's interrogate that record. One of the things that he's been talking about is about whether he's managed to deliver food security or not. My colleague with the research desk, Kofi Ajay, is in the studio with me. Kofi, this is what he said about this, because you will be measured ultimately, regardless of the policies you introduce. If it has to do with agriculture, the ultimate measure is did it deliver food security for us all. This is what he said about that.
Irrespective of limited resources and global crises such as COVID, climate change, amongst others, under my leadership of the sector, Ghana has improved its food security index and made food available to all year round. The country has also been transformed into the breadbasket of West Africa, maintaining self-sufficiency in our stable crops. This is a practical example of agriculture providing resilience to the Ghanaian economy.
So he says that under his leadership, Ghana has been able to improve its food security index. Is that the case?
So talking about food security index, you have to look at two things. You have to look at the score and the rank. Our current rank is the worst since 2016. So we are ranked 83 out of 113 countries. If you compare this to the 2019 record of being ranked 59 out of 113 countries, and you compare that to 2016 as well, this is the worst rank we've ever had since 2016. If you look at the score, on the other hand, it's been declining since 2019. We scored 62.8 out of 100 in 2019, declined to 53, and in 2021 declined to 52, and now we are hovering around 52.6. So that is the record for you.
And we've done a trend analysis of this. What's the trend? Is it trending? Is the rank trending upwards? Because the higher the number, the worse the performance.
Absolutely.
And then for the rank, and then there's also the second indicator.
So the rank is worsening, whilst we also see the score also
trending upwards.
So
the
we are
rankings trending upwards.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then the score is also trending downwards.
Okay.
So we are scoring less compared to 2019, where we had the highest since 2016.
Okay, but he was there since 2017.
Yeah.
What happened between 2017 and 2019? Was that an improvement?
Exactly. He inherited a score of 47.9, improved it to 62.8. That's the highest we've ever seen if you look at this period under review. Then since 2019, it's been declining from 62.8 to 53 to 52, and our current score is 52.6.
Okay, so under his leadership, he managed from 2017 to 2019 get a very high score.
Absolutely.
And then since then it's been on a consistent decline. So when he said currently that under his leadership it's seen it improve the last 3 years, you can't say that's true.
Not so.
However, in his first 3 years, you could say he achieved
an upward
that
trajectory.
Okay, good. I mean, this is something that we'll be interrogating with his spokesperson, Augustine Jangte, will join us pretty shortly. But Newsnight starts right now.